The Cunning Fox and the Intelligent Stork. Once upon a time, in a big green jungle full of tall trees and chirping birds, there lived a clever fox and a kind stork. They were neighbors. The fox was cunning and proud. He liked to play tricks on others and then laugh at them. Tricked goat into water. Gave bear empty honeycomb. Hid nuts from squirrel. The stork, on the other hand, was gentle and polite. She spent her days walking gracefully through the forest pond, catching little fish with her long, pointed beak. One bright morning, the clever fox was trotting through the forest when he spotted a black crow perched high on a tree branch, holding a big yellow piece of cheese in her beak. The cheese gleamed in the sunlight, and the fox wanted to prank the crow. The fox said, "And I've heard your singing is just as beautiful as your shiny feathers. Would you sing for me, O graceful one?" Flattered and eager to show off, the crow lifted her head proudly and opened her beak to sing. Caw, caw! But before she could finish her first note, the cheese slipped from her beak and tumbled down right into the fox's waiting hand, who caught it and threw it away into dirt. The disheartened but very irritated crow came down and looked at the fox. The fox, instead, laughed and laughed again at the crow, enjoying to the full the prank he had pulled on the innocent crow. One sunny morning, the fox had a mischievous idea. "Ha ha!" he chuckled to himself. "I'll invite my neighbor, the stork, to dinner tonight. I'll play a little trick on her." So that afternoon, the fox went to the stork's house. "Good evening, my friend," he said sweetly. "Would you like to come over for dinner at my house tonight?" That evening, when the sun turned golden and the jungle air grew cool, the stork arrived at the fox's house. She knocked on the door with her long beak. The stork stepped inside the house. Oh, it smelled delicious. A warm, tasty vegetable soup with herbs and spices. Her tummy rumbled softly. The fox led her to the table, where 2 shallow bowls of soup were waiting. The stork looked surprised but said nothing. The fox sat down, slurped his soup loudly, and said, "This is the best soup I've ever made. Go on, have some." The poor stork tried to drink from the shallow bowl, but her long, narrow beak couldn't pick up a drop. She tilted her head this way and that, trying to sip the soup, but it just spread across the flat dish. The fox kept eating, pretending not to notice. "Oh, my dear stork, aren't you enjoying your meal?" he teased, licking his lips. The stork smiled politely. "Thank you for the invitation," she said softly. "The soup smells wonderful." Then she stood up gracefully and left, hungry but calm. The fox laughed after Stork had left. "That silly stork. That was funny. I played a nice prank on her." But the stork was not upset. She was wise. She quietly decided to teach the fox a lesson. The next week, the stork met the fox in the forest. "Good evening, Mr. Fox," she said kindly. "Why don't you come to my home for dinner tomorrow? I'd love to treat you to a special meal." The fox's eyes sparkled. "Oh, how nice," he said, thinking to himself. "The stork is so simple. She must have forgiven me. I'll eat a feast at her house." The next evening, the fox trotted happily to the stork's home. He sniffed the air. "Oh, what a delicious smell!" His mouth watered. "Yes, stew," he said eagerly. The fox sat at the table, and then Stork served the stew to Fox in 2 tall, narrow jars filled with hot, yummy stew. Meanwhile, the stork dipped her long beak into the tall jar and drank happily. "This stew is delicious. You must try it," she said. When they were done, the stork looked at him kindly and said, "My dear friend, I only served dinner the same way you did for me." The fox's ears drooped. His cheeks turned red. "I understand now," he said softly. "It wasn't kind of me to trick you." The stork then served the tasty stew in a shallow dish to the fox and said, "Eat, my friend. Enjoy your dinner." Fox's eyes lit up on seeing the stew in shallow dish. The stork smiled. It's never nice to laugh at others, Mr. Fox. We should always treat our friends the way we want to be treated. From that day on, the fox and the stork became true friends. The fox never played tricks again, and they often shared meals together, in dishes that both could enjoy. Moral of the story: treat others the way you want to be treated. Kindness always comes back to you.